Thank you to Jens and to our friends at WAPA for affording us this opportunity to come and talk. We certainly value our partnership with WAPA. We see huge potential for this forum. Thanks, Arnold. Did he just say that right? He's going to need a second to go back to the desk to turn me on. Thank you. So, as he's turning me on, and he's doing a good job, I just would like to apologize. Idan Barside, who's our VP for product management, is meant to give this talk. And unfortunately, he had 2 pages in his passport, and when he got to Turkey, he was turned around. And so yesterday afternoon, I found out that I'm giving his talk. So apologies for that. We certainly look forward to having Idan in the country. And certainly, I think I'm not going to do justice to his talk, so I kind of canned the talk. And instead, I'm going to repeat some of the things that I said in Johannesburg. So for those of you who were at the last Future Wireless Technologies Forum, apologies for some of the regurgitation. Hopefully I'll say it nicer or better, and it'll keep you entertained. But today, let me just introduce Radwin. We're an Israeli company. We're in 150 countries. We have offices in 18 countries around the world. We're part of the RAD Group, which is the largest IT group in Israel, with sales in excess of $1 billion. We were established in 1997. Our CEO and founder, Sharon Sher, has 3 degrees. I say he's a bright boy. He works in an elite unit of the Israeli Defense Force, working on antenna technology. He saw an opportunity to then commercialize that, and then got funding. And in 2004, he released his first product. That product we discontinued in 2013. And really, that WinLink 1000 drove the growth and the expansion of our business. It's great to be able to say that from 2004 to 2013, we had a product which is like a one-trick pony. But when it is producing or providing our customers with a competitive advantage in the marketplace, it, of course, has legs. And one of the things I think we're going to talk about today is if you're going to build an open access network, you need a technology that's going to give you some legs. So how important is open access and getting open access right? And we obviously understand or need to understand a little bit more about what that entails. But consider, and this is from the leader of the DA, so if he knows this, this has got to be true, that the World Bank says that a 10% increase in broadband penetration will equate to a 1.35% increase in GDP growth. And with SA Connect and the government's plans to increase broadband penetration and to increase the speeds up to 100 megabits per second for all of the population by 2013, to consider that the growth in GDP, if this is correct, if these statistics are correct, and if it's achievable, the net impact on the lives of South Africans will be enormous. And so getting this right is critical for everyone in this room and for our children's children. Now, I like this man. I remember a bumper sticker, I think it was from Stanlib, or Warren Buffett works for me. Very bright guy, and I read his book and I found a very interesting comment. He said that the best business in the world to be in is to be a toll booth provider, or to have a bridge and to put a toll booth over it. Except if you live in Johannesburg, you all hate that. But of course, he said it, and he said in the context of that owning a monopoly or market-dominant newspaper is like owning an unregulated toll bridge. He opened up a newspaper, he bought a newspaper, and the Carrier Express found that his tactics were anti-competitive to them, and they thought he was trying to shut them down. So they sued him for antitrust. And they put him in a court, and they put him on the stand. And on the stand, Frederick Firth, the lawyer for the Carrier Express, posed this question to him: did you say this? And he said yes. And then he had to explain what he meant. And he explained to the judge why toll bridge is good. It's because you lay out capital costs once. You build in old dollars, and when there is inflation, you don't have to keep replacing it. A bridge, you build only once. Well, a good bridge, you build only once. And so is open access the idea of building a bridge that people can get on, and they, for ad infinitum, be able to use and access that bridge? But consider that the world is changing dramatically. Consider that the world's largest accommodation provider, Airbnb, owns no real estate. That the world's largest taxi organization, taxi provider, owns no vehicles. Alibaba, the world's largest retailer, in 2012, 2 of their portals had sales in excess of $170 billion. That when they listed in 2014, their market cap at the end of the first day of trading was $253 billion. They own no inventory. And it's changing the world. It's changing the way that people do business. So business, the way business does business with business, business to consumer, and consumer with consumer. Peer-to-peer is changing the market, is changing the game completely. So what is the impact of that? Consider that voice, SMS, and MMS are all in the chopping block as far as consumers are concerned. That the net loss in 2013 to operators for the lost revenue in voice, MMS, and SMS in 2013 equated to $71 billion. By 2020, that's $750 billion in lost revenue to the operators. And so the operators are in a drive to be more than a dumb pipe, to build a bridge, but to build a smart bridge so that they can stay relevant, because the costs, the competition is driving innovation into the industry. So Verizon, as an example, purchased AOL for $4.4 billion because they want to get into the content game. They want to derive revenue from the whole layer and not just from being the pipe that connects business to business or business to consumer or consumer to consumer. The market is further changing. So these are some microwave vendors. Their share price is listed. You can go to Yahoo and you can go and check these. This is July. I pulled their market share, or their market price. And you can see an alarming trend that the market is changing. 3 reasons why we see this trend. The first is because fiber is replacing microwave as the primary backhaul technology. Large capacity microwave networks aren't going to disappear, but they're under huge threat or under huge pressure from fiber. The second reason that they're under pressure is because the large vendors are going to the operators and selling them the whole stack. So they're selling them the core, and if you buy our core, well, we'll throw the RAN in for free. And does it matter that they have a 10 or 15% better product in terms of throughput or capacity than the large multinational vendor? It doesn't matter anything if you're getting it for free. So it's no longer a competitive advantage to have a better product when you're getting a product for free. Also consider that these are not access technologies. The race today is for access. That is where the market is being won today. It's a race to the end customer. So what are some of the challenges that we're going to talk about today? And I think some of the discussion around spectrum is going to probably be the primary one. So if you have a look here, that's very unclear. It says 300 megahertz. This is 3 gigahertz. That's 30 gigahertz and 3 gigahertz. And this is FCC. So it is relevant for South Africa. And I want to show you that in South Africa, over 400 independent WISPs are working there for last mile access. Wi-Fi, it's not really an access medium. To some extent it certainly is, but certainly its purpose is still to be defined. I mean, try and monetize. I think Ehrke speaks about how to monetize Wi-Fi. And of course, 17 gigahertz is not a last mile access medium. And so there's lots of pressure here because the operators are actually coming into the space. So Vodacom in this country has over 200 sectors that they've deployed in this country to deliver last mile services to the enterprise. Why? Because they have spectrum, but they don't have enough of it in the right place. And so what we're seeing is more and more companies, operators, WISPs, et cetera, are coming into the space to deliver services. So from an open access point of view, what is the right technology to build this bridge on? Is it 800 megahertz to 1800 megahertz? The capacities aren't that great, but the distances are relatively good. Think about 2.1 to 2.6 gigahertz. It's suitable for LTE, but is LTE the right medium for an open access network? Consider that the indoor penetration is great, and of course that there's a massive ecosystem for it, but is it suitable for delivering enterprise services like to a bank? Consider 3 gigahertz. Not suitable for LTE. There's no ecosystem for it, first of all, and of course, indoor penetration is non-existent. But consider also that the operators that are in there are sitting with 28 megahertz. Some of them are lucky they got 56 megahertz. Is that enough to build a national network and deliver 40, 60, 80, 100 megabits to every customer? LMDS? Well, the challenge there is still that you've got to consider the spectrum cost, and then you've got to consider that the CPE still costs $2,000 to $3,000. So which is the right spectrum to put an open access network in? And then which is the technology that you're going to use? Each has its drawback. So in conclusion, wireless networks can be open, and in fact, I'll argue that there are already many open access networks here. They're not just toll bridges. I mean, if you consider that Broadlink in this country has 3,500 subscriber units out there of ours, and 75% of their network is wholesale. Neotel has a wholesale business. Vodacom has a wholesale business, believe it or not. Those 200 sectors you can jump on. You can sell services on that. So maybe a better way to say is that there's already considerable sharing in the wireless space in this country. And to do that better, to use what we've got instead of maybe trying to reinvent the wheel. Also consider that one technology is not going to be enough. We need to use satellite, mobile. We need to use all the different technologies. Jen's mentioned it early on, a little box that we got there that's all-in-one 3G, Wi-Fi, and built-in backhaul and access. It's less than 30 watts. It's 4.5 liters container. You can put those up anywhere. So there's lots of different technologies that are out there that, given the will, given the effort, the people in this room can use to deploy. Of course, some of that needs some regulators to change the law. The most likely scenario that we'll see is open access will happen behind the last mile. So I don't see last mile open access being where the game is being played at the moment or in the short term. It's behind the last mile. It's what Jens mentioned early on. It's that Potchefstroom to Johannesburg link. That's critical for firing growth in this country. And then lastly, use it or lose it. ICASA needs to enforce its policy. I think it's a policy, right? And maybe we get some more spectrum for license exempt. Last point is there's already sharing. Whoops. So maybe if the WISPs, the operators, get together like in this forum and consider the common good and what is best for everyone, and it is being done, that we'll see the realization of that SA Connect dream, and we'll see the growth in this country that we're hoping to see. And so, yeah, thank you for your time. And certainly, we're sponsoring the wine at the end of the day. And certainly, please stay at the end of the day to enjoy a glass of wine with us. Hopefully, if you're interested, we would like to pitch some product to you at the end of the day. So please stay for that. But thank you.